Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzi, and we have a great show for you today. Before that, sorry about pressing the two buttons before that. Those were mistakes. I actually meant to go to the intro video instead, but we can move on from that. We'll be going on. Our first segment today will be about the American League games of yesterday. Then after that, moving into the National League. For our third segment, we'll be doing an MLB draft preview. And then the fourth segment, we'll be talking about some news stories around the league, some injury and transaction stuff. Before we do that, though, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show today. All right, as I talked about, we are going to be starting the show off like we always do during the baseball season, to have two segments going over the American League and the National League games. So, yeah, let's get straight into that. So, we're going to be starting off our first game here with a little bit of Red Sox and Guardians in a very impressive series so far. Both teams have been really hitting the ball well. As I've said, both teams I've been very impressed this season, mainly the Guardians, who have been the best team in baseball so far, which nobody expected at all. So, they've been great. So moving into the scoring here, in the bottom of the second, it would open up with a Will Brennan solo home run, his third of the year, to make it 1-0 Guardians early in this game. Then in the same inning, Jose Ramirez would hit a grand slam, scoring Gabriel Arias, Stephen Kwan, and Tyler Freeman to make it 5-0 Guardians, just like that. I mean, an incredible start to the game for the Guardians. An incredible job by Jose Ramirez. He hasn't really been himself this year. Hasn't been awful, but hasn't been the Jose Ramirez we all know, and Jose Ramirez that is elite. So he's just been an okay player. So a really nice job by him to kind of get it going, and I think this home run could really put things back into gear for him for the season. Top of the third, Rob Schneider would get some runs on the board for the Red Sox, with making it a 5-1 game with an RBI triple. And then in the same inning, Wilyer Abreu would hit a sacrifice fly to make it 5-2. Top of the sixth, Dan Rafael would ground out to make it 5-3, and Jarren Duran with an RBI single to make it 5-4. So the Red Sox would not give up and would continue putting runs on the board. Unfortunately for them, it would not last, as in the bottom of the seventh, a pass ball by Reese McGuire would end up scoring Jose Ramirez, and also get an error on Reese McGuire's part for throwing. So a little bit of luck there for the Guardians would make it 6-4, and they would end up winning the game at that score. For the Guardians, they did have on the mound Tristan McKenzie, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Not great, I'd say. You wanted to go deeper into games. I feel like I'm saying that with all the pitchers nowadays. It's just a thing that has not happened this year. But overall, still only 2 earned runs to this Red Sox offense is pretty good, and I don't think it's too much to complain about. Again, you'd like to be better, but it's not. It's kind of a nitpick at this point. It's not something significant. So for the Red Sox, they had on the mound a opener in Chase Anderson. He won 1 2/3 innings pitched, giving up 3 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 home runs. Obviously, that second inning really killed him with that Jose Ramirez grand slam and the Will Brennan homer. So not a great outing for him whatsoever. The bullpen after that, though, would be clear with no one else giving up home runs. You had guys like Brennan Bernardino, Cam Boozer, Greg Weissert, Chris Martin, Kenley Jansen, all coming in and having really nice outings. So good for the Red Sox bullpen at least. For the Guardians, they had on the mound Tristan. Sorry, I just did that. I don't know why good win for the Guardians, and just a great job for them. Keep going this amazing season so far. I got nothing to say about it. It's pretty incredible. Next game we have is going to be White Sox and Twins. Twins have been getting off the men recently, playing really well against this bad White Sox team, as expected. When you are a team that is struggling, like the Twins, like the Astros even, we're going to mention it in the next segment, you have to beat these bad teams. When you see these bad teams in your schedule, for the Twins, it's the White Sox. For the Astros, it's the A's. Both 2 bad teams in each of these teams' divisions. You have to go like, okay, you know what? This is a game for us to get back on track. We see this team. We know they're not very good. We can easily beat them. We have the talent to. Let's do that. And that's what the Twins have been doing, and it continued in this game. Top of the second, the scoring would open up with a Kevin Pillar sacrifice fly to make it 1-0 Chicago. Then a Paul DeJong RBI single would make it 2-0. Bottom of the sixth, Eduardo Julian would get some runs on the board for the Twins, hitting his 6th home run of the year, a solo shot to make it 2-1. Then Ryan Jeffers would follow that up with a solo home run of his own, his 4th of the year, to make it 2-2. A Willie Castro RBI single would make it 3-2, and another Eduardo Julian solo home run would make it 4-2. Julian has just been a monster so far in his MLB career, and it continued this year. He's having a really, really great season, and he's going to be a big part of this Twins team going forward in the future. Bottom of the 8th, Carlos Santana would hit a solo shot to make it 5-2, and a Jose Miranda solo shot would make it 6-2. So a lot of solo home runs in this game for Minnesota. Again, a really good job capitalizing off playing this bad White Sox team. I think that's all they can really do. In the top of the 9th, Robbie Grossman would reach on a fielding error to score Nicky Lopez to make it 6-3, but they would not score after that, and the Twins would end up winning this game, thankfully, 6-3. They had on the mound Simeon Woods Richardson, who was really, really solid. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Woods Richardson was a guy who a lot of Twins fans were relying on to be a big part of this rotation this year after letting some of your guys walk in free agency, like a Sonny Gray, and he's done a really good job so far, so props to him. For the White Sox, they had Mike Soroka, who went 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, a strikeout, and 2 homers. A really good start for him. Hasn't had a good season whatsoever so far, so nice job there to kind of get it back on track and have a good start for the White Sox. Next game we'll be talking about is going to be Royals and Blue Jays. This would be canceled after a rain delay, so it would only be a little bit. In the bottom of the 1st, Salvador Perez would hit a 2-run home run to make it 2-0. And on the top of the 4th, Ernie Clement would hit an RBI single to make it 2-1 Kansas City. But as I said, the game would be canceled after that because of rain, and the Royals would end up winning 2-1. Kind of got a break there. After 5 innings, they win the game. So unfortunate for the Blue Jays there, but it's what are you going to do, right? Yeah, that's kind of it. Unfortunate for them, I'd say. For the Blue Jays, they had on the mound Jose Barrios, who went all 5 innings, giving up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout, a 1.23 ERA on the season. Has had a really great season so far. Had a rough first year in that big contract extension with the Jays, but after that has been pretty solid and a really good pitcher for them. The Royals had Cole Reagans, who went, again, all the 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Really solid start for him. Has been struggling a little bit this year. Not struggling where he's been bad, but you were expecting a lot out of him after last year, and he kind of hasn't been doing that, but he's still been solid. But this is a really good start, and I think if he can continue modeling after that and continue pitching really well, he can continue last year's really great appearances and pitch really, really well. That's, I think, what Royals fans are indeed hoping for. The next game we have is going to be Mariners and Rangers. Scoring would open up in the top of the 1st after a Ty France 2-run home run to make it 2-0 Seattle, scoring Julio Rodriguez. In the bottom of the 1st, Nate Lowe would hit a solo shot to make it 2-1 Seattle, and Josh Smith would tie up the game, making it 2-2 Texas. Of course, giving them the tie as Seattle was winning before. Top of the 5th, Luis Urias, I don't know why I said Arias, I apologize, would hit a 2-run home run to make it 4-2 in the top of the 5th, giving them the lead. Really nice job there. Since coming to Seattle, Urias has had an interesting start. Was kind of put in unfair opportunities, so we'll see what comes from it. In the bottom of the 7th, Marcus Semien would hit an RBI single to score Wyatt Langford to make it 4-3, but the Rangers would lose after that, and they would not score, making it 4-3, the final score. For the Rangers, they had on the mound Andrew Heaney. Heaney went 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 6.26 ERA in the season so far. I think Heaney was going to be a guy that had to play a big part of this Rangers rotation with all the injuries they've had, and just simply hasn't really done that so far. I think he needs to be better, and I think it's got to come pretty soon with all the injuries they've had and him being an aspiring free agent. So I'll be watching that, and I'll be seeing what does happen there with him. For Seattle, they had Luis Castillo on the mound. He went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 2 home runs, a 4.15 ERA on the year for him. Not great, but I think it's better than before. Has had a rough start to the season, but I'm very confident in him that he'll get it going, and he won't be bad for the rest of the year. Next game we have, the final game for the American League, is going to be Athletics and Yankees. Bottom of the 2nd, Jose Trevino would hit a solo home run, his 2nd of the year, to make it 1-0 New York. Top of the 3rd, Nick Allen would hit a solo shot for the A's, tying it up, making it 1-1. Then the big blow would come in the same inning, top of the 3rd, with a Tyler Nevin 2-run home run to make it 3-1 Oakland, scoring Darrell Hernandez. Sorry, I apologize I mispronounced that name. So a really great win for the A's here. I mean, they're 10-16. I didn't know if they'd have 10 wins by June. So really great job for them so far. I mean, they're not even last in the division. The Astros are, which is crazy to think about. So, hey, they proved a lot of people wrong. They're still not good, but in retrospect, we all thought they were going to be probably the worst team in baseball history. So only 6 games under 500. With that in mind, I don't think it looks too bad. The Yankees now still 17-9, but splitting a series with the Oakland Athletics is not something you want to do. It's not a good sign, and I think this offense needs to get going a little bit, especially Judge and Rizzo. Both haven't been awful, but both have definitely underperformed for what you expect from them. So I think you need them sooner rather than later to kind of step it up. For the Yankees, they had Nestor Cortez on the mound, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. A good start, but you're playing the A's, and I think 3 earned runs and over 7 is a little too much against the A's. I understand after the third, nothing happened, but so it was only that 1 inning. But again, it's your opponent. I think you like to do a little bit better against a team like the A's than what you did here for Nestor. But it's not a bad start, just kind of nitpicking a little bit. The A's, they did have Alex Wood on the mound, who was really, really impressive. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Still a 6.6 ERA on the season, but at the same time, keeps having starts like this, go down dramatically, and he could become a solid pitcher for this A's team, maybe even a trade deadline piece. So, not really what you expect from Alex, not really the season you want from Alex Wood, but had a really good start against a really good Yankees offense. So, hey, props to him, and congrats. Great start there. For the A's, they also had, closing out the game, the talk of the town nowadays, which was Mason Miller. Miller went 1 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 1 hit, no 1 runs, striking out 3, having a 1.59 ERA in the season so far. I mean, Mason Miller has just been incredible. This is a guy who was a top starting pitching prospect for the A's, a guy that was very heavily sought after in the A's organization as being one of their future starters. There wasn't a lot of great young talent there, but Mason Miller was always one of them. A guy who throws 100 consistently, has an elbow injury, and they're trying to limit his innings, but still wanted to pitch. So they made him the closer, and he has absolutely excelled in that role, throwing 101, 102, 103 consistently, striking out guys, getting some great saves. The A's don't have many save opportunities because they are the A's and they're bad, but when they do, Miller's the guy to come in. He does a great job. He shuts the other team down, and he's been the talk of the town so far. Having a great season, throwing the fastball really, really hard and good, and some other off-speed stuff as well. So he's been really, really great, and the A's are going to have a decision to make. Do you want him to be an elite closer or just a okay starting pitcher? Maybe they'll think more of him as a starting pitcher, but he'll have a really interesting decision when he comes back from this injury and can fully pitch the starter. We'll be seeing what's going to happen, but as of right now, he's doing a great job there and has been a great, great pitcher. So props to him, and really good job for the A's. They found someone finally. So that was the end of our first segment talking about the American League games from yesterday, all the action there. We'll be moving into our second segment here today, which is going to be talking about the National League games of yesterday, of course. We always open with those two, matching them up. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after that. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits some loose shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment, which is, of course, talking about the National League games of yesterday and all the action that happened there. Now, before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into our second segment of the day today, which is, of course, talking about, as I said, the National League games of yesterday and just all the action that happened there. So, yeah, we're going to get straight into it, and we're going to talk about it. So, here we go. The first game we have on the agenda for the National League is going to be Cubs and Astros, an interleague game, but as I've said before, whatever team wins, if there's an interleague game, that's the league I choose to put the segment in. Or sometimes if there's a disproportional amount of games in each league, like there's 12 games in the American League and 3 in the National League, of course, then I'll put some in the others just to even it out a little bit. But yeah, for this game, we had with scoring opening up in the top of the first with a Yordan Alvarez sacrifice fly to make it 1-0 Houston. But then in the bottom of the sixth, Miguel Amaya would fly into a force out. But Dansby Swanson would score to make it 1-1, and then Pete Crow Armstrong's first home run of the year would make it 3-1 Chicago. His first home run in his MLB career as well. So a really clutch moment by the rookie to get the Cubs to the lead in the bottom of the sixth and end up winning this game for them. That would be the deciding factor, that home run. So really impressive job by him. I mean, we always talk about his defense and his base running and just his baseball IQ, but hey, he can hit the ball hard as well. We talked about this yesterday as well on my segment about the Cubs, where we also mentioned Pete Armstrong because he did get called up, so he was involved in that segment a lot as well. So we mentioned it on stream there, and we wanted to talk about it. So yeah, I'm really, really high on this kid, and I think once his hitting gets to the level that it needs to be, he'll be a really, really great player. The Astros, they had on the mound Justin Verlander, 4 1/3 innings pitch, giving up 3 hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. Again, I'd like him to go deeper into a game, but the Astros still, he's probably still on a little bit of an innings limit or some pitches limit, coming back from that injury and being an older pitcher as well, just simply put. So I'm not going to go too crazy over it, but again, in the future, I think Verlander and all pitchers that I've talked about just need to go deeper into games. It's something that needs to happen. I feel like it's a lost art form in baseball currently. For the Cubs, they had on the mound Javier Assad, who was spectacular. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 5 strikeouts, a 2 ERA on the year to make it I don't know what I was trying to say there, to win the game for the Cubs. I mean, a great start for him. Just has been a really, really great pitcher for them. Broke out. He's 27 innings pitched, 5 games started, 2 ERA, a whip of simply 1, so he's been really, really great. The youngster Hayden Wesneski was also great out of the Cubs bullpen, going 2 1/3 innings pitched, no runs. So overall, the Cubs young pitchers were really, really impressive last game, and yeah, just a good job. So nice win there for the Cubs. And the Astros, I do not know what's going on there, but it's not good. I mean, just Jesus. The record now is 7-19, just not what you want to see, not good at all. Next game we have is an NL Central matchup of Brewers and Pirates. Top of the first, William Contreras would hit a solo home run to make it 1-0 Pirates. Then in the bottom of the first, the other catcher would tie up the game for the Pirates, hitting a 3-run home run to make it 3-1. Not tie it up, but give them the lead. Joey Bart has been outstanding since coming to Pittsburgh. I don't know what's gone into him. Maybe it's the chip on his shoulder from being traded after being drafted second overall a few years back. But man, he has been impressive since Pittsburgh, and they could be looking at a long-term piece there. We'll have to see. The top of the third, Jake Bauers would hit a RBI single to make it 3-2, getting Milwaukee back in this game. And Rhys Hoskins would hit an RBI single to make it 3-3, so they would tie it up. Then in the top of the fifth, Hoskins would come in clutch again, hitting an RBI double to make it 4-3 Milwaukee. Bottom of the fifth, Jack Suwinski would hit a RBI double to tie up the game at 4, so good job by the Pirates batters to come in clutch there and come in handy and tie up the game. Jared Triola would then hit an RBI single to make it 5-4 Pittsburgh, giving them the lead, scoring Jack Suwinski. Top of the eighth, Gary Sanchez would hit a pinch hit 2-run home run to give Milwaukee the lead, 6-5. Really great job by him. Top of the ninth, Oliver Dunn would get some insurance for Milwaukee, making it a 2-run game making it 7-5 with an RBI single, and Milwaukee would end up winning the game from there, 7-5. They had on the mound Freddie Peralta, 4 and 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. Not the start you want to see whatsoever, but Peralta's been really, really good so far this season. Atop of a lot of Cy Young leaderboards, so I think Brewers fans will deal with one mediocre start if he continues pitching like he does this season, which I don't think there should be any signs of stopping. So we'll see about that. The Pirates had on the mound Mitch Keller. He went 5 innings pitched, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 5.14 ERA on the year. An start for him, nothing spectacular, but not horrible. So we'll have to see where he goes from there. Next game we have is going to be, again, Phillies and Reds. I've talked about these two teams matching up so much in the first weeks of the show, so let's continue talking about it. Top of the third, Bryson Stott would open up scoring for the Phillies, hitting an RBI triple to make it 1-0. Then a Kyle Schwarber sacrifice fly would make it 2-0. A Bryce Harper 2-run home run would make it 4-0 Philly, and a Bryson Stott single again would make it 5-0 Philly, and they would end up winning this game 5-0. So leaving this red scoreless would be a really nice job. They had on the mound Zach Wheeler, who was outstanding, of course. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts. That's exactly what we all know. I think 4 walks a little high, but no earned runs over 6 innings to a really good Reds offense, I'd say, is something they can live with. After that, Orion Keckering and Jeff Hoffman were great out of the bullpen as well. This Phillies pitching core is just outstanding, and they have a lot of great pieces, not only in the rotation, but in the bullpen as well. So good job for them. For the Reds, they had Nick Martinez, who went 6 innings pitched, giving up 11 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, a 5.48 ERA on the season. Not what you want at all. Not a great start. Has been not great since coming to Cincinnati and becoming a starter again. So I think they're gonna have to make a decision on that soon, and end up seeing what does happen there. But it's definitely not been great so far since coming to Cincinnati. Next game we have here for the National League is going to be Padres and Rockies. For this game, the scoring would open up in the bottom of the first with a Elias Diaz sacrifice fly to score Brenton Doyle to make it 1-0 Rockies. Then in the top of the second, Jose Azucar would ground out to score Luis Campusano to make it 1-1 San Diego. Top of the third, Jurickson Profar would hit an RBI single to make it 2-1, and a Ha-Sung Kim 2-run homer to make it 4-1 San Diego. The Rockies would come back, though, as in the bottom of the third, and Elias Diaz RBI ground ball would make it 4-2, and an Eleuteris Montero 2-run home run, his first of the season, would tie up the game at 4, and tie up the game for the Rockies, of course. A really nice job there. Top of the fourth, Xander Bogaerts would hit an RBI double to make it 5-4, scoring Yugi Rosario, and a Jake Cronenworth sacrifice fly would make it 6-4 San Diego. Top 7, Jurickson Profar would hit a 2-run home run, his third of the year, to make it 8-4 San Diego. He has been very impressive since coming back to San Diego. He was a guy that lingered on the market for a long time, was just not highly sought after, but has done really, really well so far. So, hey, good for him. Top of the 8th, Yugi Rosario would hit an RBI single to score Tyler Wade to make it 9-4 San Diego, but it would not be all, as in the bottom of the 8th, a 3-run home run by Hunter Goodman on the Rockies, his second career MLB home run and his first of the year, would make it 9-7, and just like that, the Rockies were back in the game, and they would not stop. All on the bottom of the 8th, Brendan Doyle would then hit an RBI single to score Jacob Stallings to make it 9-8, and a pass ball by Luis Campusano would score Ezequiel Tovar to tie up the game at 9, and what a job by the Rockies. And the big blow would come with an Elias Diaz RBI double to score Brenton Doyle to make it 10-9 Rockies and win this game. What a game by the Rockies, and what a comeback. For the Padres, it's not what you want to see. I mean, you guys are a good team, a competitor, and you're losing like this to the Colorado Rockies. Not what you want whatsoever. Not good. For the Rockies, they had on the mound Dakota Hudson, who was not good. 3 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 7 ERA on the season, basically. Not good. I don't know what else to say there. He's part of the Rockies pitching core, so of course he's not going to be good, but not what you want to see. For the Padres, they had on the mound Randy Vasquez. He went 2 2/3 innings pitched, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a home run, and a 5.87 ERA on the season. Again, not what you want, and not really a great start for Vasquez. Has kind of been a disappointment since coming to San Diego in that big Juan Soto trade. I think they were hoping he would be more impactful for this team, but just so far has not been, and that's kind of unfortunate. But it's how it falls, I guess. Last game we have here is going to be Nationals and Dodgers. Scoring would open up in the top of the second with a Teoscar Hernandez solo home run to make it 1-0 LA. Then in the top of the eighth, Freddie Freeman would hit an RBI double to score Mookie Betts to make it 2-0 Los Angeles. But in the bottom of the eighth, Joey Meneses would hit an RBI single to score C.J. Abrams to make it 2-1. But they would not score after that, and they would end up losing this game 2-1 to LA. With the Dodgers, they had on the mound Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's outstanding. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, only 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, no home runs. That's the biggest thing. Really impressive start by Yamamoto. Has struggled since coming over to the MLB so far. But I think it starts like this that remind you why he was so sought after, why you gave him a $325 million pitching contract, and why there was 10 teams wanting to give him $300 million. So, really impressive start by him. And, just overall a really great job. For the Nationals, they had on the mound Mackenzie Gore. He went 6 innings pitched, giving up 7 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 3.12 ERA in the season. Had a really, really great start here, especially against the Dodgers. Has had a 3.12 ERA in the season. I think Gore is a guy that is going to be a big part of the Nationals' future core. He's going to be a guy that is a significant pitcher for them going forward. I think he's really, really good. And, you look at this young Nationals core, you have guys like Gore. You going to the hitters now, you have guys like James Wood, Dylan Cruz, C.J. Abrams, Keibert Ruiz, Joey Meneses even, who's not really that young, but is more of a rookie kind of player. So, the Nationals have a lot going for them, and I think Gore is going to be one of the big pitchers for this team. I think him, Josiah Gray, are going to be the aces, quote-unquote, for the future, and I think they're going to spend a lot of money this offseason, maybe even get another starting pitcher, and I think the Nationals are going to be much better sooner than we expected, so I'll be watching them, and I'll be seeing their core going into the future, but I'm excited to watch them, honestly, in the future. Not excited as a Mets fan, but putting on my unbiased baseball fan hat, I am excited. They've even had guys like Joey Gallo, Jesse Winker, Mitchell Parker, who have come in handy and just been really good, even though you didn't really expect much from them. So, a lot going right for the Nationals right now. You look at their record, it's 10-14, which of course isn't outstanding, but you look at where they've come from these past few years, I think that would be pretty great improvement for, where they had been, and I think their rebuild is finally showing off, and I think that, there's a lot going right for them. I think their young core is finally coming up. I think that everything is kind of going according to plan now. I talked about it the Orioles a few days ago, but you tank, quote-unquote, for that long of a time. You're bad for that long of a time. Sometimes, at some point, you're going to see the fruits of your labor come in handy, and you're going to see players start to perform well and be parts of your young core. So I think it's finally happening for the Nationals, and great job there. Of course, they did lose, but I think it's more about the bigger picture for them. So, All right, so that was the end of our second segment here, talking about the National League games of yesterday. We're moving into our third segment, which is talking about the MLB draft preview. An MLB draft preview, I should say. Yes, the draft is in July, but at the same time, the NFL draft was yesterday. It is day 2 is today as well. I love the draft personally for the NFL and NBA. I'm just MLB, of course, as well. So I'm just a big fan of the draft, and I think this is appropriate time to finally mention some of these players with the draft happening in the NFL yesterday and today, of course. So that was fitting, and we'll talk about it after the break. So thank you so much, and bye. See you then.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is talking about the MLB draft and a little bit of a preview of it. Now, I said this in the last segment, going into this segment, the transition, but I understand the MLB draft isn't until July. I understand it isn't as important as the NFL, NBA, NHL, but I want to talk about it. You know, the NFL draft was yesterday, and it's also today, so I thought it was fitting. I thought we could get a little bit of a preview going. I haven't talked about it at all, which is kind of weird to me. You know, it is a big thing and it is notable. So I did want to just mention some of the prospects and just some talking points about it as well. So yeah, here we go. So we're going to be going off of MLB Pipeline's prospect ratings. I'm going to be giving my 2 cents on these guys as well. So number one for MLB Pipeline is a guy most people have number one, which is Charlie Condon from Georgia, a outfielder and third baseman. You look at his scouting grades. He has a 60 hit grade, 70 power grade, a run 40, arm length 50, and an overall 65. This is the 20-80 scale. So if it's an 80, it's basically elite. You're perfect. If it's 20, it's bad. So you want to be higher up in that scale. So he has 70 power, which is outstanding. So Condon, you look at him, first of all, you see he's a huge guy. 6'6", 216, big righty bat, 21. You know, you think of power. As I said, you know, he has a 70 grade of power. So, I mean, this guy's just an absolute beast. Was not really a top 10 prospect going into this year. Was high up, but I don't think was that high up. But has really shown a lot. Again, his power has just been outstanding. Has been truly just amazing, and I think his pure skill set has risen him to the top of this list, and just the what he's shown with the bat has been really impressive. You know, this is a guy that you have in the minor leagues for maybe a year, two, if you really want to stretch it, but after that you get an immediate power bat in the MLB. You know, he's outstanding, can hit the ball far, and I think will be an immediate impact to any team that gets him. Looking like the first overall pick right now, and we'll definitely have to see what happens there, but he's looking great. Next, second overall, we have Travis Bazanza, the guy who was mainly known as the first overall pick before Condon came on the scene, but a 60 hit grade, a 60 power grade, a 60 run grade, 50 fielding grade, 50 arm grade, overall 65. You could argue Bazanza is more of a well-fleshed out prospect. You know, he has more contact potential, a little bit of less power, but still a lot of power. Runs really well, isn't a bad defender. You know, this guy's mainly a middle infielder, mainly a second baseman, but I guess could play third if you really needed him to, but mainly is second base and middle infield. So, big lefty bat, 6 foot, 200. Not the biggest size, but at the same time isn't small. So, I look at Bazanza, I see a lot of potential there. I think this is a guy that is going to be a very above-average hitter, could steal a lot of bases. I think just he's a really good lefty bat, a guy who's been on a lot of radars for a long time, had a 902 OPS as a freshman. Then as a sophomore, he had a 1.112, 1.22, and 11 home runs and 36 steals. I mean, this guy, since coming over from Australia, has been very, very good, and is going to be a top prospect in this year's draft. Could be the top pick. I think him and Condon are the two top guys right now, but we'll have to see, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, a really, really great player, and someone I'm looking forward to watching with the draft and seeing where his career does go. Next, we have one of the most famous prospects, if not the most known, which is Jack Cagliglione. Now, Cagliglione is interesting as he is a two-way player. First off, with the hitting grade, you have 55 hit, 70 power, 40 run, 60 arm, 55 field, and 65 overall. As you can see, big lefty bat, 6'5", 245, 70 power grade, 55 hit grade. Obviously knows how to hit the ball well and be really, really great. But also, he pitches. He has a 70 grade fastball, 70, a 50 slider, a 50 cutter, 55 changeup, 40 control, and a 50 overall as a pitcher. Now, Cagliglione did burst on the scene a little bit last year, not within stats-wise, but popularity-wise, as Jeff Passan of ESPN, of course, as we all know, the top MLB insider, wrote an article about him, calling him the next Shohei Ohtani. That might be a little unfair, as we all said. First of all, that is insane shoes to, fill in. I mean, Ohtani, in my opinion, is already in the discussion for greatest player of all time. So having Caglione, in that discussion is unfair, but I understand where he's coming from. This is a guy who has hit extremely well in college, has pitched really well, has an amazing fastball. So you could say that, but I think when I look at him, I see a big first baseman power bat. I think he's a 30 home run plus guy every single year, a great hitter. But with pitching, I don't see as much. I think he has a great fastball, but after that, I don't really see much. I think his control needs a lot of work. His secondary pitches need a lot of work. I think if you really wanted to have him be a pitcher and hitter, he would be more of a reliever and a hitter, not a starter and hitter. But I think teams are going to see his bat and think, we'll let him pitch and see if there's anything that comes out of there. But assuming he isn't the best pitcher and he doesn't show much, we're going to let him hit for most of his career, which I think is going to happen. I do think he ends up being a position player for his career, mainly a first baseman, a big lefty power bat first baseman. A lot of big power bats here, Bazanza, Condon. So I'm watching Caglione, but a really interesting case here as he is a two-way player, and we'll have to see if he does stick there. I doubt it, but it's possible. Another big lefty power bat is Nick Kurtz. I mean, if you need a big lefty power bat, you need to be at the front of this draft. 21-year-old from Wake Forest, bats lefty, throws lefty, 6'5", 240 as a first baseman, has 65 power grade, 60 hit grade, fielding of 60, and an overall of 60. This is a guy who has been super impressive in his college career, just really, really great, has hit for a lot of power, has shown a lot of raw potential, and I think, again, with all the lefty power bats, with all the big power bats, not just lefties, he fits right in. I think that he's going to be a really great player in the next level. I think he hits great, and I think he also plays defense really well. You look at the defensive grade, it isn't that bad for a first baseman. So I'll be interested in seeing that, and just interested in seeing how he does develop. Again, a huge power bat. I think this is a guy that has a lot of potential, has really found his way into a lot of top pick conversations. So we'll have to see there. With him, I look at maybe a Mark Teixeira kind of guy, a Keith Hernandez, big power bat, first baseman. Hernandez more of a contact, but still great hitter, but great defensively. Also, again, we saw that with Kurtz, really good at defense. So we'll have to see there. But yeah, I think he's pretty great, and he has a lot of potential. So those are two guys I'd see for him. Next, we have Braden Montgomery. He is 21 years old, a switch hitter, throws righty, 6'2", 220 from Texas A&M. 55 hit grade, 60 power grade, 50 run grade, a 70 arm, a 50 field, and a 60 overall. I think a little more of a raw player with Braden Montgomery. I think he has a lot of potential, but may take a little bit more time to develop. I think with his average speed and plus arm strength, he fits a lot in right field. He threw 96 as a pitcher, but lacked control, and he did become an outfielder. So I think he has a lot of potential for the future. I think he's a really good player. I could see him potentially falling a little bit if teams think he's too raw, but we'll have to see about that. But overall, a great player, and number 5 on this list for MLB Pipeline. Next, we have our first pitcher on the list. We haven't had one yet. Well, if you count Caglione, he is a pitcher, but I consider him really more of a hitter, and both anyways. So next, we have Hagen Smith, a lefty. He is 20 years old from Arkansas. For his batting grades, he has a 65 fastball, a 65 slider, a 50 splitter, a 50 control, and 60 overall. He does, first of all, have some injury concerns. He blew out his elbow as a high school sophomore and had Tommy John surgery. But you look at his pitches, they're just incredible. A 65 fastball, a 65 slider, that deadly two-pitch combo. I think he may need another elite pitch in the MLB to be really fulfilling that potential of that highly drafted pitcher. But I think he's really great, and I think there's a lot to love here if you are a team. A lot of potential to work towards, and a lot of just great pitches. So really good player here, and we'll be seeing where he does go. 7, we have one of the players I knew about for a long, long time, a guy who I was very high on, which is Chase Burns. Now, Chase Burns, a 21-year-old from Wake Forest, I thought he would be the first overall pick last year, is still in that discussion, but isn't as high as before. a guy who has a 65 fastball, a 60 curveball, a 70 slider, a 55 changeup, and unfortunately a 50 control. I think Burns has incredible stuff. I mean, his fastball, curveball, slider are insane. He needs to work in his control a little bit, like every single college pitcher does, but I think he's the best pitcher in the draft, in my opinion. I think that he is above Hagen Smith, and I think just the pure raw talent he has is incredible, and I am so excited to watch his MLB career where it goes. I think he is going to be in consideration for that first overall pick, even though he is a little lower on this list for MLB Pipeline. I have him a little higher. I'd probably have him, to be honest, at number 4. I'd have him at number 5. I would go Condon, Caglione, Bazanza, Kurtz, and then Chase Burns, but that's just my opinion. So he's really great, and it's amazing pure stuff, amazing raw stuff, amazing raw ability, and I'm looking forward to watching where he can go in the draft. This is a guy who has been, again, sought after for a long time, going back to his recruitment to Wake Forest. So we'll have to see where he goes, but I think a really, really great player. Next up, we have the final player I'm going to talk about. These are the top 8, which is J.J. Weatherholt. 70 hit tool, 50 power, 60 run, 50 arm, 50 field, and 60 overall. Is a little smaller at 5'10", 190. Is a middle infield guy, second base and short. I think is more of a second baseman going forward. A Pittsburgh native, but so with this guy, I see a lot of hitting in the future. Again, 70 hit tool, almost elite. I think he is going to be a great, great hitter. Might need to work in his power a little bit, but I think he could be a 20 home run guy. If you want to go off average, I think he could hit 320, 330 consistently. Will have OPSs of around 850 to 900. I think he's going to be a really, really great player and is really, really consistent, has a lot of great tools, and just overall is really great. So I kind of said great a lot there, but yeah, this is another guy that I have a little higher than MLB Pipeline. So I think he's really good, and I'll be watching where he does go. But those are mainly the guys I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the draft order now, because if you don't really remember it, so the 2024 MLB draft order is going to be, of course, we had the first year of the draft lottery, so it looks a little different than usual because the worst teams aren't in front. We have Cleveland at number 1, who jumped almost 10 spots. Number 2, the Reds, same thing. The Rockies at number 3. The A's, after having one of the worst seasons in baseball history, at number 4. The White Sox at 5. Royals at 6. Cardinals at 7. Angels at 8. Pirates at 9. And Nationals at 10. The Mets, Padres, and Yankees picks dropped 10 spots because they exceeded the second threshold of cap penalties, which is threshold of the competitive balance tax, by more than $40 million. So in other terms, they spent a lot of money, and they got penalized for it. The Mets were at 19, so they would have been at 9. You had the Padres at 25, who would have been at 15, and the Yankees at 26, who would have been at 16. So mainly hurts the Mets the most. They had that horrible season last year. Would have been nice for them to have a high pick, top 10, but ended up number 9 and falling down to 19. So for the Guardians right now, I would say the top pick for them currently is going to be Condon. I think he is the leading guy for right now, but Bazanza, Caglione, and I think Kurtz are in a 4-man race, as well as Chase Burns I'd also put there. So I think it's those 5 guys that the Guardians have to factor in. There's a lot of factors. Is the player going to be happy going to a smaller market like Cleveland? How much money do they want? You want to save some slot money going into your other picks. So you might take underslot, you might take overslot, and just say, we don't have the first overall pick often. Give him whatever money he wants. We'll work on the other picks later. So there's a lot in factoring into the MLB draft that there just isn't with other sports. So we'll have to see what the Guardians do pick. If I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Condon or Kurtz. I think those guys have the edge currently. So we'll have to see there. But I'm really excited for the MLB draft. It is in July, so it's a long ways away. But with the NFL draft happening and it being recent, I did want to just give a little bit of talk about the MLB draft. We haven't talked about it at all, so just wanted to talk about it there. And happy with how it came out. So that was our third segment here today. We'll be going into our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about some news stories around the league. This is just mainly injury and transaction news related stuff that I couldn't talk about for a full segment, but I thought was still notable and I wanted to touch upon. So we're going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about some news around the league, just some injury and transaction-related stuff that I did want to touch upon, some notable things around the league. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. So, first off, we have Ozzy Albies. He has been activated off the injured list for the Atlanta Braves. He did fracture his toe, but only needed 10 days off, and is a big addition back for the Braves. You know, with all the injuries they've suffered this year, including to Spencer Strider, the most notable one, I think that getting Albies back is a real big boost to your offense and your team. You know, you just did send David Fletcher down, so you have a little bit of less depth in the middle infield. I'm sure that was preparing for Ozzy Albies coming up, but I think Albies and all the players in the Braves as well, of course, need to stay healthy. The Braves, they have a little bit more competition in the NL East than they're used to. The Phillies have been outstanding. The Mets have been on fire recently, even though they did drop that series. The Giants still won a game and still beat the Dodgers in a series. So, yeah, overall, just good job for the Braves getting him back this early. We'll see how he does perform back from injury. We'll see if there is any fatigue, if he is still being affected by that toe. I don't think so. I think the Braves are always super careful with their injuries and know what they're doing over there. So I think if he wasn't ready, he wouldn't be up and he wouldn't be off the injured list. So we'll see there. But, yeah, good job for the Braves getting Ozzy Albies back. One of the best second basemen in baseball. Really great player. And good for him that he didn't spend that much time on the injured list and that wasn't significant. So, yeah, good job there. Next, we have some Orioles news. They have optioned top prospect Jackson Holliday to the minor leagues. Of course, Holliday did come up very publicly for the Orioles just a few weeks ago. Top prospect in baseball didn't make the team out of opening day, which is a big shock to a lot of people. Orioles finally called him up, and he was awful. In 34 at-bats, he had 2 hits, scoring 5 runs, having only 1 RBI, only 2 walks to 18 strikeouts, and a 170 OPS, and a negative 47 OPS plus, and negative .5 WAR already in only 44 at-bats he was up. So definitely looked overwhelmed at the MLB level. You know, 2 strikeouts to 18 walks, I think was really, really unfortunate and just kind of showed where he was. So wasn't doing much, and I think the Orioles decided, you know what, we might have called him up a little bit early. Everyone was screaming at us to do it, but we know the player and we know when he's going to be ready. So we maybe called him up a little too early, even after people thought we called him up a little too late. So they did send him down, and he will be back in AAA. I think it gives him some time to decompress. You know, he might have gotten overwhelmed by the MLB pitchers, not realizing how good they would actually be, by the MLB lifestyle. Living in Baltimore now, being a part of a team that, you know, a lot of times when the top prospect comes up in baseball, he's on a horrible team, so he gets to just settle in, maybe struggles under, you know, not under so much scrutiny and not under so much talk about himself. But the Orioles have the top prospect in baseball while being arguably the best team in baseball. So I think it was a unique situation for Holliday to come into a situation like that where he was not only coming up straight away, but if he struggled, it'll be known because the Orioles are so good and they have so much camera and media attention on them because of where the team is right now. So that could have factored in, but overall, I may be a hot take here, but I'm not entirely a fan of them sending him down. I think they should have kept him up even with his struggles. I think with a prospect like him, with the talent he has, I think that you should have kept him up, have him work through his struggles with the minor leagues. I understand why they sent him down. They're like, okay, you know what, he's struggling already. We don't want to make it worse. We think that's the worst case scenario here, just making him worse and worse and worse. So until he just fizzles out and loses all confidence in himself. So I do understand it that way, but I would have kept him up. I would have wanted him to work through it in the major leagues. Just my personal opinion. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments or right now if you're watching on stream. So But yeah, I would have kept him up, but I understand why they would have sent him down. It's an understandable decision. It's not crazy by any stretch of the imagination. So it is unfortunate that it happened with Holiday, and that is what ended up going on with him. But these things happen, and prospects aren't always great when they come up. The White Sox have selected Tommy Pham from AAA, and he will be up with the Major League roster. They DFA'd Kevin Pillar to make a roster for him, so 2 former Mets being involved in the transaction here for the White Sox. We all knew Tommy Pham was coming up for the White Sox. He had been sent to the minor leagues because he didn't get spring training. It was more of just getting himself acclimated, kind of like some of the other guys who signed late in the season, JD Martinez, who we'll be talking about next, actually. So, again, I thought it was a good signing for the White Sox. They're a horrible team. I don't think anyone's really going to rebuttal against that. I think they need veteran leadership, a spark plug in their lineup, and I think Pham provides both those things. He is a guy who's known as a leader, plays with a chip on his shoulder, might do some things that are kind of crazy, like slapping someone over a fantasy football game, but I think it just shows, unlike other people, I kind of thought, I didn't really have a big problem with that. I kind of thought it just showed a lot of just fire in him, and just showed how much he wants it. Did he overreact? Yeah, I'd say he overreacted, but at the same time, how much Tommy Pham wants it. Seeing him play for the Mets up close for years, for last year, I saw the type of player he was, the mentality he had, the chip he played with on his shoulders. So I think he's a really great player. I think it's a great addition to this young White Sox team that has a good veteran presence, not only in that clubhouse, but in that lineup as well. I think he's going to be a big help to this team, and yeah, I'm really excited to watch him, and I think he's a great player, and I think he's a little underrated within baseball nowadays. So I'll be excited to watch him with Chicago, and again, I think it was a good move by them. It's kind of weird that he couldn't find anywhere else to go. I mean, the White Sox, of course, are awful. I thought for sure the Padres were going to sign him, but I guess they're happy with starting Tyler Wade and Yugi Rosario, guys like that. So I don't really understand it, but I thought there was a lot of other teams that could have used Pham as a corner outfield bat or even a DH bat as well, but somehow lands with the White Sox, who are not good. At least for him, he gets to be traded up to a team at the deadline that is going to be good, so he doesn't, so he gets to see who's good at the deadline. He doesn't pick a team and then they're bad, and it's like, oh no, I picked a bad team like he did last year with the Mets. So at least he gets to go to a team that is good by the deadline and significantly into the season, which is good for him. Trying to chase a ring, obviously. So got very close last year, making it to the World Series. But we'll have to see with Pham. And overall, I think it's a good move for the White Sox. I think it was a good veteran move for the clubhouse and the lineup, and I think he's going to be good trade bait for them once it does come that time. So yeah, we'll be seeing with him, and we'll see what happens there. JD Martinez has finally been called up by the Mets. Again, was in the same boat as Tommy Pham. Signed very late into the season after spring training as well. Signed with the Mets, who he's going to be the starting DH now. Started in Syracuse, had some setbacks there with some injury stuff, but has finally been called up by them and is expected to be a big addition to their lineup. Apparently he's going to be batting third for Carlos Mendoza's Mets. It will be Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, and then JD Martinez. A really great top five. I don't think Alonso's had that kind of protection in a long, long time, so I think Martinez is going to be a great addition in that way as well. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch him. He is playing tonight. The Mets are also debuting their City Connect jerseys tonight. First time playing with them in the game, so I'll be watching that, and we'll be seeing if anything notable happens there. But yeah, excited to watch Martinez with the Mets. I think it was a great addition by them. It is kind of interesting because they're starting DH DJ Stewart, DJ Stewart, who they essentially signed Martinez to replace, has been doing really, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do still end up getting DJ Stewart at bats because he has been doing so well. But Mendoza said, he expects him to get a lot of at bats in the outfield and first base, just kind of moving around a little bit now that Martinez is starting at DH. The thing with Martinez is he cannot play the field. He has not played the field in a long time. He is not good at it. So with Stewart, you at least have some versatility that he can move around. So we'll be seeing with that. The Mets have had a lot of good players play really well this year. DJ Stewart, Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader, that we were kind of expecting not to play as well. So great job for them, and I think having Martinez up now creates a good problem with who's going to get playing time. So we'll be watching that and seeing where that does go from here. Finally, we have Jesus Luzardo. He was scratched from his start today. He underwent testing on his elbow, and while I was on stream, actually, the news broke about what happened. So what happened is now he is going to be going on the IL, but he does not think it's so. He does not think it's serious and a significant situation. He said him being placed in the injured list feels more precautionary, and that he'll only have to miss 1 to 2 starts. But he's also awaiting test results, so it could just be player optimism. But it doesn't seem to be too significant of a thing. He said it does feel worse than it felt worse 2 years ago when it was his flexor and forearm. So it's good that it doesn't feel as bad as that. So I think overall it's more of a precautionary move to the injured list, like he said, with all the injuries the Marlins have, I think they have to take injuries like this very seriously and be as precautious as they can. You saw what happened with Yuri Perez getting Tommy John, so you don't want that to happen to another one of your great starters in Luzardo, who's young. So again, feels more precautionary, but you never want to play around with the elbow for a pitcher. He felt it while playing catch yesterday, which is not good, not what you want to see. So it's not really exactly what you want, but at the same time, doesn't look to be that bad and just looks to be more precautionary thing. So we'll be watching that story, and we'll be seeing if anything does happen up with the Luzardo and updates with him. So yeah. All right. In this fourth segment, we did talk about just some news around the league, just some transaction and injury-related stuff. Ozzy Albies coming back for the Braves, big boost for them. Jackson Holiday being optioned. Unfortunate way to start his MLB career, but I've no doubt that he'll be back up and playing well in no time. White Sox selecting Tommy Pham and JD Martinez being selected by the Mets. Both late signings that I think are going to be big impacts for the team. And Jesus Luzardo going on the 15-day IL. Unfortunate sign for the Marlins, who have already dealt with so many pitching injuries, but it doesn't seem to be too big of a deal, and he should be okay soon. So yeah, that is it for the show today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe bell, hit the notification bell to not only get notified when I upload, but when all the other great young content creators on this channel upload. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again for watching. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. And we'll see if baseball throws at us over the weekend. Thanks, guys, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.